Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your daily focus tarot for Saturday, the 4th of June. Sorry I've been gone for a bit. In your money, career, and jobs focus, we have the Eight of Wands. And this is talking about like a fast change. It's talking about productivity and potential. And you can see him throwing this wand up into the sky. It's beautiful blue sky, and these other ones are just sort of sitting here stuck in the ground, but this one is going up in the air. So it's definitely about possibility. The way he's tossing it, we aren't really sure what he's tossing about. It's off camera, so to speak, off painting. But he's tossing it up in the air with the hopes that it's gonna hit something, it's gonna achieve something. And he's got this nice kilt and tattoos. Sorry, I'm just noticing some details I never noticed before. But this is the Eight of Wands. And then we drew two clarifiers. The first, Cernunnos, number 15, which is a 6, and it's quite different from other decks because this is the devil in other decks, but Cernunnos isn't necessarily considered the devil. And this is the Druid Craft Tarot. I'm going to read to you from the book because it's kind of interesting. So the book is talking about the devil warns against the dangers of materialism and sexual obsession. Often the lovers, from card 7, card 6, excuse me, the numerological counterpart of card 15, appear in chains in the devil's card, but these are tied so loosely they can clearly escape whenever they wish. This shows that they are enslaved not by an outside agency, but by their own illusions and attachments, which the devil is sort of like the ego, the human ego, if you're familiar with psychology. In this sense, it's, addiction and stuff like that. Narcissism. Calling the figure represented by this card the devil, though, suggests that the forces he represents are evil. We have renamed the card Cernunnos after the horned god of fertility because in Druidry and Wicca, the powers of the animal, instinctual, sexual, and material worlds are not considered evil. In fact, they represent the very forces which govern life on earth and all its abundance. However, it is undeniable that many human beings find it hard to accept, mediate, and utilize these forces in responsible ways. I almost said meditate there, sorry. Perhaps you should meditate on this. Some people believe paganism to be immoral when in fact witches injustice that respects and reveres life. But it also respects and reveres the life force and does not seek to repress it. Instead, it seeks to integrate or channel it to bring creativity, health, pleasure, and ecstasy in appropriate and responsible ways. So this is talking about being responsible. With your new possibility, with your fast change, your productivity, think about how you can, in camping and hiking, there's a saying, about leaving it better than you found it. You pick up trash as you're going along and you take care of it. You leave no trace. You don't destroy the wilderness and the beauty of it with your actions. To me, that's what this card is talking about. They're sleeping, there's light, but there's also this ego, this idea of the conqueror coming into the glen. If you were a Christian, and you're thinking of the devil, you're thinking of the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. And the devil comes in and basically destroys it. So if you're pagan and you're looking at this card and you're thinking of Cernunnos, it's not quite the equivalent, but it is talking about responsibility for not just yourselves. Sleeping carelessly in a glen in the middle of the woods is not necessarily the best idea. You might want, some protection from the elements here. You might want, if there's wild animals around you, you certainly don't want to be surprised by a bear or have raccoons stealing your food. So this is talking about responsibility. And the funny thing is, the other clarifier I drew for today was the lovers. And again, here they are. They're naked, which is, also about their innocence, their purity. They're naked, but they're just kind of hanging out, sleeping carelessly. This card is a little more peaceful, though. And what's watching over them is this deer. And many people talk about this card in the past being about choices. And you can see here there's the sun and the snake. Maybe you can't. I'll see if I can get it to focus. There's the sun, the moon, the snake. So it is reminiscent of the Garden of Eden. Oh, and I just noticed something else in that corner. Oh, there's the, let me see, right there. There's the, it's not gonna focus. Maybe it will. You can see it right there, the try symbol. And then here's the green man. Over here. With the water coming out of his mouth. He's a little bit hidden. So this can be talking about like a new day. This can be talking about that new responsibility, that innocence, that starting over. And I'll read to you from the book again, because this is rather interesting. It says, it's talking about process of union and all its potential. An image of the conjunction between sun and moon appears carved on the stone beneath the two lovers, as does the symbol of serpent and egg, a version of which is found on the Druid altar stone by Hadrian's Wall in Cumbria. The lovers appear again in the card's numerological counterpart, Cernunnos. There they are deeply asleep, suggesting the eclipse of reason and clarity that passionate love can often evoke. To me, this is not about love per se, because this is what you should focus on for your money and your career, your monetized hobbies, those sorts of things. So to me, it's about your passion for your work. It's about finding that new passion, finding that new responsibility, and that passion is driving you to change. It's driving your productivity and your potential for abundance. To find fulfillment, purpose, meaning, enlightenment, wisdom, and/or full worth as individuals is what the book says this card is symbolizing. We need to go beyond the confines of the self to surrender to the more than self. When we fall in love and when we make love, If it is the real thing, then we open to something more than ourselves. True love opens us to the life and the being of our lover, but in doing so, it opens both of us to something more. It opens us to the divine, which is why true love has such spiritual power at its core. So this is talking about being on the right path for you. And when you figure out what this passion, what this divine purpose, this choice that you need to make is towards your divine purpose, towards your path, when you don't use this purity and innocence to be taken advantage of by others, and you don't use it to destroy, then you're going to get this productivity, this movement. It's not really a pie in the sky sort of thing. It's more like you're trying to sort out, like you have an idea where you want to go, but you're trying to sort it out, and you need to really figure it out. You need to set your ego aside and look at it from different perspectives, from the perspective of the world, from a fresh new angle to it. Sorry, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to say. And you can see this, he's throwing it at an angle. He's not throwing it straight up or straight across. It's going almost like an arrow. And when you shoot like a bow and arrow, the object, like say you want to hit something way over here, you shoot the arrow and the arrow goes like that. So like the trajectory goes down. At first it goes up, then it goes down. Right? So that's a lot to think about, even though it was only 3 cards. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. So for your personal focus, there were a lot of cards. First we have the Queen of Cups. And the Queen, in some cases, she's like talking about using your intuition, your unconscious to protect yourself. And I still can't decide, especially in this case today, I can't decide if she's making an offering or if she's trying to like capture the moon, like she's trying to make moon water, if you know what I'm talking about. She does look very meditative, and she's also dipping her toe in the water, so to speak. She's trying something out. She's not in the flow of the river. She's not really impeding it either, because there's a rock here that's sort of protecting her, that's giving her a bit of stability. But she sort of dipped her toe in, like she's maybe not quite sure if she wants to go in all the way or not. And she's got her full cloak on, as well as her undergarment, her dress. So she's just kind of hanging out, and she's kind of in between a lot of things here in this image. And I'm not sure if this is like to do with family and friends or your own spiritual growth, your growth as a person. So I'm not going to say one way or the other. It's just what your personal focus should be on. Use it how it resonates for you. Then we had the 7 of Wands, which is about defense. It's about protection. He's defending himself against these swords. And his is definitely a wand. These are definitely swords here. They're spears. It can also be about challenge and perseverance, because these people, he's like up on a tower. He's high above them. He definitely has the defensive position. So if you're thinking of this as you're on the defensive. And these people, if you're thinking of yourself as one of these people, you're persevering. You're going up the hill, up against this wall, this stone wall, and this person who's high above you, who's poking down on you, he can just go and hit you in the head with that wand. So even though you've got, a spear with a sharp metal tip at the end, he's still got the upper hand. So this card can be about perseverance and challenge, or it can be about defense. And then we have the Magician. And the Magician is opening up the gateway. He's manifesting. He has everything he needs, skill-wise, element-wise. I just noticed a face in the rock. There's the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. I've never seen that before. So even the earth is watching him. And it's a new sunrise. And he's getting ready to open that. He's getting ready to open that gateway, that portal. He's getting ready for that change in life. So like I said, I wasn't quite sure how to put this all together. And whether this was about like family, friends, or personal growth, spiritual growth. I'm thinking it's about personal growth, about your own spiritual growth. So I drew clarifiers on the Magician. And I got the Four of Swords. One sword is a golden sword. He's holding on to a sword. I think I've said this before. It's almost like he's dead. Like how they used to bury, the Knights Templar and people who were knights. They used to bury them with their sword on their chest, kind of reminiscent of how they used to bury Egyptian pharaohs with their staffs of rule that signified they were the pharaoh. So this knight, he's got his sword, and his sword is by far the fanciest. It's got the 3. And then we've got this golden sword down here. And he's talking about thinking about things, contemplating. So the Magician and this portal and having all the skills you need, all the resources you need to do this, and then you're contemplating it. And we also drew the Magician in this deck. So you have the Magician twice. And a whole bunch of other cards came out. The Four of Wands, which is talking about harmony and union. And there's this fairy. Hard to say if she's like meant to be looking down over this. Or if she's meant to be like looking down at her lap and just sort of sleeping or stretching. This is a beautiful card, though. It reminds me of the Jewish Sukkot, I think is how you pronounce it. Not sure why it's reminding me of that. And this could be a house or a church. People say this is like a card of marriage, not just like union. But I'm thinking this could be a union of thought. or a union of purpose. In this case, we have the Page of Cups, which is talking about confidence and possibility. She's looking forward. She's looking at that cup. She's looking at that spirituality, at that growth. And then we have the Knight of Swords. Not sure what that is on his... what banner that is. It makes me think of Prussia. Maybe. Which is now Germany. But the Knight of Swords, you see he's like got his head down. He's got his sword drawn. He doesn't have a shield, so he doesn't feel the need to defend himself as much, but he feels the need to be offensive with that sword there. And the horse's head is down, almost like he's getting ready to charge. So this knight, he's talking about determination. He can be rash, but he's very determined. Try not to rush into things too much. Like, keep that determination, but don't rush. We have the Tower, and the person falling from the tower is hidden. He's wearing a mask, and he's falling backwards. I don't think, the tower being changed, I don't think that this is a tower that is happening outside of you, so to speak. This is more like a tower that you're initiating. These golden lightning bolts with an eye here in front of them. You're initiating this change, this tower moment. Perhaps you want to take your mask off, or perhaps you want to put a different mask on or a new mask. But you're initiating it with these aha moments, these golden moments of thought. There's this new sunrise, and while you're falling into it, you're not trying to stop it. That's, part of what this Knight of Swords and Page of Cups is. This is, what you're conjuring. And then we have the Page of Swords, and she's not even looking at her sword. She's like, I'm defending myself very casually, but I'm not looking at it. Some might say she can't bear to look at it, but others might be like, no, she just feels confident. She has that confidence that she doesn't need to, all she needs to do is hold it up to defend herself. She doesn't need to do anything more than that. This card can be about information seeking and using new ways of communicating, like holding up the sword and saying, I have this, I can use it, but I choose not to. Underneath that, we have the Six of Cups. And this can be talking about empathy and balance. And you see she's got the scales from the Justice. And she almost looks a little bit like the Hermit, the way she's wrapped up. But she also kind of looks like, I don't want to say a judge or a nun, but kind of that impression. And when this card is about generosity and balance between giving and receiving, you see this bowl in the hand of this woman. Justice is on her side, and she's wanting to receive. And they're both down on their knees. They're both pretty even. And at the bottom of the deck, what's hidden from you is the King of Swords, which is interesting. This is Odin and Hugin, which means thought. So you'll notice that this sword, look, the Knight of Swords doesn't have this sword. The Page of Swords doesn't have this sword. But the sword, as far as we can tell, he's got his hand over in the middle part. This doesn't, it could be him later in life, like this is a younger version and this is an older version. But otherwise, this sword, it could be the same exact sword. We can't really tell, but look at how he's holding it. It's more balanced. Here he's holding it one right in the middle, right over his heart. It's kind of like me. Like he's thinking about himself only. And here he's holding it on the two sides, I don't know what you call them, decorations, hilt decorations. So it's like he's thinking about other people. His sword is more balanced, his thoughts. He's also got it stained there. Interesting. So the balance of your thoughts are hidden. And this is that logo from the other knights. No, not quite. Almost the same logo, but not quite. Interesting. I just noticed that. I've been working with this deck for a little while, but I just noticed that those could both be like a younger and an older version of the knight and the king. So your focus, your personal focus is definitely on manifestation. It's on using your intuition. It's on making a change, opening up those doors. You're having a little bit of a struggle and you're not sure which way you want to go. But you're going to make that decision. You're going to make that change. And even though it'll be like a sudden shift, it'll be like a fall for you, that's what you're wanting. You're wanting to move forward. You're very determined. You're very confident. You're wanting this harmony, this balance and justice, this equal giving and receiving in your life, in the personal sphere. And you're manifesting that. You got two magicians. You're manifesting that. The magician is always one, but when you've got two of them, it's 22. Or you can look at it as 11. To me, it's 22 popped into my mind, but you could look at it as 11 if you want. So you're manifesting this. You're doing this. The tower is, you're bringing it on. So you're not afraid of it. And really, there's nothing to fear with towers. I'm still not quite sure what it's about. But use your intuition. Even if you're dipping a toe in, Use your intuition. Even if it's a challenge or you feel you have to defend yourself, use that inner knowing to manifest whatever you want to manifest. Have a great Saturday. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.